Hi everybody, this is Crystal Jones and I'll be talking about animal testing today. First I wanted to show you a comparison between my own mouse and a lab mouse. As you can see, my mouse looked happy and active. We played with him, he had personality and spunk. Whereas a lab mouse, they don't have any of that. They're getting injected and more than likely they're going to die by being euthanized after an experiment, whereas my mouse died naturally. Most of the animals that are used are rodents such as mice and rats, but in some countries the law specifies that at least 2 different species be used for experiments, one being a large non-rodent. So that means cats and dogs. Sheep, pigs, and goats are also used, but unfortunately domestic animals are used too. This picture here is of a dog and his bones were being broken, his legs were broken. They were trying to cause psychological distress in him, and I think it worked. Animal testing is unreliable and redundant because what can kill a human can save an animal, and what can save an animal can kill a human, and our bodies react totally different to different kind of drugs, such as penicillin. Penicillin saves human lives, but it's deadly for cats and guinea pigs. Morphine is a sedative for humans, but it's a stimulant for cats and horses. Many drugs approved by the FDA are pulled from the shelf after being tested on animals because they cause serious harm to people. And actually 88% of stillbirths that are caused by drugs were safely tested on humans. So there's been a lot of drug controversy with the whole animal testing. Some of the main drugs was thalidomide, which was a sedative for pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. And it caused thousands of deaths and deformities in children, and that was after being tested safely on animals. Chloroquinol was also another drug, and that was an anti-diarrhea. And actually it caused diarrhea in humans, and it caused thousands of children to become blind or paralyzed, and it also caused tens of thousands of deaths. So both of these drugs caused thousands and thousands of children to die, and that was after being tested on animals. There's a quote by Professor Charles Magel from veganpeace.com, and I loved his quote. He asks the experimenters why it's okay to test on animals, and they go, well, because they are like us. And he asks, well, why is it morally okay? And the researchers go, because the animals are not like us. So he says animal experimentation rests on a logical contradiction. The suffering that the animals go through are really severe. Chemicals are put directly into their eyes, causing blindness, such as what's happening to this little cat. Their skin's burnt off, joints are beaten, bones are broken, starvation, loneliness, and their bodies injected with different kinds of chemicals and liquids. Most of the diseases that are induced in them are artificial. It's not real, such as osteoarthritis. That's a human degenerative disease, and it only affects the joints in a human. They'll try to artificially induce this into an animal by beating their bones, breaking their joints, and causing and having an artificial osteoarthritis. So the drugs that they use bear no relevance because it's not the same disease. It's not really osteoarthritis because it didn't occur naturally as it would in a human. Every second, 33 animals in labs around the world die. So that's a lot of animals. Animals are kept in tiny cages, usually more than one at a time, and this can pose a problem for intelligent animals like cats and dogs or monkeys because they need physical, emotional, mental exercises, and they're not getting that. A lot of people don't know that there's alternative to animal testing. With the technology nowadays, you can use computers, you can use computer molding, synthetic skin, cells that are representative of the eyes, studies of human population, and even volunteers. You can find many different drug companies online, or any kind of company, whether they do or don't test on animals. And I went through some of my stuff, and I found that I did have some stuff that was animal tested on, such as Clairol. They test on animals. Nivea also tests on animals. And Suave tests on animals. The Body Shop does not test on animals. and I saw that on the back. It says against animal testing, so I know that they don't. One of my favorite companies that don't test is Bath and Body Works, and there was some controversy over what it said on their bottles. And one, it said this finished product is not tested on animals, and there was some law in England that required this wording. But PETA and a bunch of animal activists got together with them, and they wanted them to know and to prove that they weren't testing on animals. So they signed something and changed the wording, so now it says never tested on animals. So you can find that online, that Bath and Body Works do not test on animals, and I'm glad about that. But you can go online and find all kinds of different companies that do or don't. And that's all I have about animal testing.